first hear from Chairwoman Cupid regarding the upcoming FIFA World Cup, as well as a grant that is going to make safety and security for that event possible. After the Chairwoman speaks, you'll then hear from Lieutenant Bullis, who will speak to you and then open up the floor for questions. Initially, for Lieutenant Bullis, we can take up to 3 questions per. So once he's up here at the podium, he'll kind of work his way from his left to right, taking 1 question each, and then repeat that until all of you have had an opportunity to answer your questions. And then the Chairwoman will be available for questions as well. All right. And without further ado, I present Chairwoman Lisa Cupid.
Thank you, and thank you for being here this afternoon. We are thrilled that Cobb County gets to be a part of this huge sporting event that's coming to North America and Metro Atlanta. And part of making sure that this is an enjoyable event for all, it's important that we ensure that it's a safe event for all. And we are grateful to have received grant funding to help support our men and women in public safety to do just that. Recently, our board approved funding to receive grants to support our drone technology. We've also recently received an award to help with the operations around FIFA and keeping that event safe. And so we are confident in the support that we've received by our partners that we are going to have a safe and enjoyable event for all. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Lieutenant Bullis, and he can detail more about the grants that we've received.
Thank you, Chairwoman.
So sorry, could I switch up the mic?
Sure.
Sorry, y'all. Don't need to.
Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm Lieutenant Bullis with Cobb County Police. I am the commander of our Homeland Security Unit. I prepared a little statement for you to kind of explain how we got here, where we're going, and what the intent of this grant is. Then when we're done, as we mentioned earlier, I'll answer whatever questions I can for you. The Cobb County Police Department was notified in November of 2025 of a grant opportunity through the Department of Homeland Security and FEMA to enhance the department's capability to detect, track, identify, and mitigate UAS or drones that pose a risk to public safety. The Cobb County Board of Commissioners approved an agenda item in November to apply for the 2026 Counter UAS grant in the range of $7 to $12 million. The grant application was prepared by the Department of Homeland Security Unit, or the Department's Homeland Security Unit, with assistance from the Department's Business Office, Real-Time Crime Center Management, and Cobb Emergency Management Agency. In late February 2026, the Cobb County Police Department was notified by the Georgia Department of Emergency Management that Cobb County Police would be awarded a grant amount of approximately $10.67 million to be used in accordance with approved projects submitted as part of the initial grant application. These projects include multiple fixed site drone detection antennas, multiple portable detection system, which include RF receivers, IR and EO cameras, radar panels, and mitigation technologies. To also establish multiple DFR or drone as first responder docks, infrastructure needed to deploy and maintain these systems, as well as infrastructure improvements that will be needed to the Real-Time Crime Center where most of these systems will be operated from. The grant program was established through the Safer Skies Act passed by Congress and signed into law in 2025. The initial push to deploy these systems is designed to better protect the World Cup events, but the overarching program goes well beyond just this tournament and is designated or is designed to create aerial security as the use of drones grow. Cobb County is currently planning, along with its public safety partners through Cobb County Emergency Management Agency, to support the World Cup, both in and outside of Cobb. There are several practice locations and team base camps which have been established inside of Cobb County for the World Cup. We anticipate use of Cobb International Airport, Dobbins Air Force Base, Truist Park, and a wide range of critical infrastructure needed to support these events. And we anticipate using these systems to protect citizens, players, and fans from UAS-based threats. And now I'm open for questions if you have any.
I understand the county will be putting a sensor system up to detect hostile drones and be able to interject those RF frequencies. How is the county going to ensure that those sensors are not tampered with in any way, are up and running properly throughout the event?
Absolutely. So right now we're working on site selection where all those sensors are going to go. A lot of that's going to be most likely positioned on property that we have direct access to and that we can secure. We don't want to give away the exact locations of it for operational security, but every place that we're looking at to put these up would be protected. They wouldn't be immediately accessible to the public, so we would be able to monitor those and make sure that they weren't tampered with.
I know you guys can't get into specifics, but beyond the drone and things like that, is the police department also working with APD, similar to how the Cobb County Sheriff's Office is when it comes to safety and keeping everyone safe? And can you specify exactly like what they're going to be doing and manpower coming from the police department to assist?
So some of those questions I can answer. Some of them are still being established right now.
Okay.
So yes, we are coordinating with other agencies within Cobb County and outside of Cobb County, including APD. They have regular meetings down in Atlanta where they bring all the agencies from Metro in that may be involved, where we all kind of have a group planning, go through whatever the latest has happened in the last, say, 30 days. We also have joined a FBI task force for counter UAS, which is going to be between us, Atlanta, the state of Georgia through the GBI, as well as the Georgia State Patrol. There's going to be 4 officers that just completed an FBI training academy, myself being one of them, and we are going to operate together to augment drone security for all of the events, to include at Mercedes-Benz Stadium and at Centennial Olympic Park.
Is there any concern with the Cobb County Police Department in terms of getting that funding with the partial government shutdown?
So we are what's called a sub-recipient of this grant. So the grant was awarded actually to the state of Georgia through GMA. So all financial transactions between the federal government and the state of Georgia, I believe, have already occurred. So we will actually be going to the state of Georgia for the funding, not directly to FEMA. So I'm not aware of any delays at this time.
Will the department be adding any additional funds to augment the program in addition to what's being received from?
So at this time, it's not going to require any. We have an initial period of operation of about 5 years that we got funded through this grant program, and that's for everything that we applied for. This includes the licensing, training, equipment, maintenance, warranty. Beyond that point, we'll have to reassess whether we continue to fund these programs. But for the initial setup, as well as the protecting the airways beyond the World Cup, that's going to be paid for through this grant.
I just had one more question for Chairwoman, if I can ask.
Anybody else have anything before I step aside?
The chairwoman did mention the other grant that was just recently awarded. Is that something you can speak to, or is that just chairwoman?
That's probably not something I'm going to have a lot of details on because my office didn't help prepare that. That was more of a county-wide grant that was done through our emergency management agency.
Okay, perfect.
Can you tell us how many drones you will be buying with this grant?
So it's several different layers to the grant. For actual drones themselves, those are going to be through what's called the DFR, the Drone as First Responder Program. We're looking at buying multiple. I don't have the exact number because right now contracts and prices and things like that are still being established, but the plan is to have multiple available for each of the major World Cup sites so that we can have them available to help our officers if, say, a critical incident occurs at Atlanta United or at Kennesaw State, say something comes up during the World Cup that we need a response with. These drones will be able to launch and be able to respond there and augment and assist, kind of the way a helicopter would in years past. A lot of the same technologies on these drones to be able to give a live feed back to those officers. So I can't give you an exact number, but it would be multiple, and they would be designed initially for the World Cup to be deployed to respond to World Cup venues.
But they were specifically part of this grant, this $10.6 million
Yes,
grant. The drones are included in this. It's not just antennas and software and things like that.
Correct. There is a funding project. So the way that the grant was broken down, they give us a dollar amount per project. We bid the project, we tell them the ideas of what we'd like to use the money for. They come back and tell us you have X amount of dollars per project. Now what we're in the process of doing is figuring out which specific equipment and how much of the equipment we can get within the confines that they gave us. But yes, one of the projects that was awarded and is being funded is to buy DFR systems, which is drones as first responder, to be able to augment our officers in the field.
And will these drones be able to also take down drones that are being operated by AI rather than having a controller somewhere on the ground?
So we're still investigating systems like that. So there is a process right now to be able to do what is called drone mitigation, which means to actually be able to take control of drones in the sky through cyber means, through RF jamming, or as you're saying, to be able to take down additional drones. That's an option they call kinetic. That all has to be approved by the FBI. We can only buy systems, even in the grant it spells that out, we can only buy systems that they've approved. At this time, the DFR drones that we're looking at are not gonna have that function, but some of those, going forward, those are questions that we have to look at as the FBI approves new systems.
Are you all gonna put in a restricted airspace? There might be civilians who wanna fly drones during the World Cup and get their own footage, whether it's for social media. Are you all going to create a restricted air zone during the World Cup?
So most of that is being managed between the FAA and FIFA right now. So I can tell you that most of the sites that we have in Cobb County that would be affected are already in restricted airspace because of Dobbins Air Force Base as well as Cobb International Airport. If you look on a map and you see where that airspace covers, most of that is already within restricted airspace. If additional restrictions are needed above that, that may happen. I know right now they're focusing on getting those in place for Centennial Olympic Park and for Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's being handled on a federal level through coordination with the FBI, FIFA, Department of Homeland Security. If we will be asked to do that, I don't know yet. At this time, it's being handled by them, and we're still waiting for updates on if any sites in Cobb County will have additional restrictions.
Okay. And I believe we have one question for the chairwoman.
Yeah. Would you mind passing the mic? Thank you. If I could just clip on your jacket. Or yeah. That's good.
Chairwoman Cuba, this is completely aside from security and safety and all those things. What do you think about the economic boost? Do you think that the county will see one? Have you guys tried to crunch the numbers to see if, there will be some sort of economic boost from all of this?
Travel and tourism continues to be one of the top sectors in Cobb County. And so we always anticipate that there will be some return due to the groundwork that we've already laid here in attracting people to the county. I don't expect FIFA to be different, but time will tell. We don't have any of the games being played here, but we do have some excitement that's being generated by some of the practice teams that will be here. And I did have some conversation that even one of those practices may be open to some members of the public. I'm still waiting to hear more,
Okay.
but that's just a little tease to say that if that does occur, I anticipate that there will be a lot of excitement around that.
Okay.
You had mentioned the other grant that you all recently received. Can you give us some more details about that?
Certainly, but I'd like to defer to our Emergency Management Director, Cassie Masley, to provide more information.
Okay.
Cassie.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Y'all are great. Thank you so much.
Right. I love it.
Super helpful.
Right.
Fast learners.
Good afternoon, I'm Cassie Maslin, I'm the Emergency Management Director here in Cobb County. We did recently receive notice that we are going to be getting $1.7 million for operations for the FIFA World Cup. Primarily this will be for any overtime costs that occur in regards to maintaining security and safety around the training sites that we have here in Cobb County, as well as any support we give at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium on match days. There is some equipment that is allowable to be purchased within that grant. This grant does have a much shorter time frame. So, it will all depend upon what we're able to get in and what we're able to receive to determine what necessarily be able to be purchased for that. But everything has been already laid out within the grant guidelines.
What kind of equipment would you all be looking to purchase with that grant?
For instance, there's an x-ray system for the bomb team that we're looking at. The Sheriff's Office has requested some mounted patrol equipment. The only other things are mostly cooling stations, supporting items that can help us have some kind of cooling stations for those training sites for both our first responders and any kind of citizens that would need any kind of assistance there.
There's a series of Braves home games
Yes.
during the World Cup. Do y'all anticipate you're going to get a lot of people going back and forth? There's going to be international visitors. I'm sure they would love to come see a Braves baseball game at Truist Park. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, we do anticipate a lot of activity around Truist Park. We will be working to make sure we have plenty of patrol units there, as well as any support needed at the other sites. We've been working closely with Marietta Police, Marietta Fire, KSU Police, so that we can determine what support they may need, so that we know how much support we can provide at those locations in Cobb.
Is there anything else you or maybe the chairwoman wanted to say just about how you guys are no stranger to big events? We just had the All-Star Games last year, so you guys are very prepared, well-oiled machine. Anything you want to say in regards to that, you, and then if chairwoman wants to speak on that as well.
Yes, we did just have a successful event last year with our All-Star Series. No major issues. And that speaks a lot to the planning that goes in ahead of time. There's a lot that goes in that people don't see behind the scenes to make sure that these events are very safe and secure. And the relationships we have with our partners with Cobb Travel and Tourism, like I said, the other public safety agencies, is very essential and critical. And we work really hard to maintain those relationships so that we can be successful.
Well said.
We're good.
Chairwoman, did you want to say anything else? You good?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. No,
No, actually, she
Cassie,
doesn't.
Cassie said it.
Oh, she does want to.
No, well said by Cassie. We're very grateful for the ongoing relationships that Cobb County Police has with public safety partners around the region and internally. And that has helped us have a wonderful event last year. We also are used to having games, as you've shared, every year, over 80, games that are played. So I anticipate that they know what it takes to make sure that we have a successful